Let's talk about what's happening with the Smithsonian. Let's be honest here. You've got Republicans and Democrats arguing over what should go into the Smithsonian or these art institutions. Trump's passed these executive orders demanding that certain exhibits be taken out of the Smithsonian or these other museums. And he wants to show the positive of America. Can only be positive now, can only be positive. Now, I agree with that to a point. I mean, if all you're doing is showing exhibits about slavery, people are going to get turned off by that. I mean, we all know that slavery took place on plantations. So I wrote an article over at Substack about this, which is a response to Brian T. Allen's article at National Review, and I did a video about that. And I've had to take this video I was working on down this week because I've had issues with it. So I decided to redo it, went back and revised the article. So it's new and improved, just for you. So at any rate, welcome back to the channel, Culture Confederacy. Here it's Thursday. Happy Thursday, everybody. Yo, Culture Confederates. But this issue with the Smithsonian, with modern art in general, really has nothing to do with politics. This is an artistic argument that goes back over 100 years to the turn of the last century. A debate between the avant-garde and the traditionalist. Now, the way that I frame this article is I talk about the premiere of The Rite of Spring, give a slightly alternative history to that. Because I think most of the blame of why, or the reason why modern art has suffered is just basically crap, can be laid at the hands, the feet of people like Igor Stravinsky, works like The Rite of Spring. So the article starts out, May 29th, 1913, a much talked about ballet premieres tonight at the Smithsonian's L'Americain Concert Hall, a new venue capable of accommodating up to 1,200 people. Papers have buzzed for weeks over the mysterious work, commissioned by the Smithsonian as part of its International Artist Exchange Program, a foreign relations effort implemented to quell the tide of anti-immigrant sentiment stoked by nativist propaganda. And that was happening back in 1913. Listen up, you leftists. Listen up. There was anti-immigrant sentiment with Italians, Germans, Slavs, Polish, Jewish, you name it, going on in 1913. At the height of Jim Crow, no less. The orchestra chosen for this occasion, the New York Philharmonic, an ensemble Gustav Mahler, during his brief tenure 3 years earlier, crafted into a world-class organization. Now, there's a funny story about Mahler here. He was so hell-bent on making this a world-class organization, but he had a language problem, because he primarily spoke German, so he had a really hard time communicating with these musicians at the New York Philharmonic. Can you imagine being in one of these rehearsals with one of his symphonies? Oh, that should have been just fun. Just a load of fun. But he did turn the New York Philharmonic into a world-class symphony orchestra, with descriptions of the much-anticipated piece such as bold, revolutionary, and daring, and I put those in quotes. Only top-notch talent can match the hype surrounding it. At 7:30, the house lights dim. There's a brief silence, broken by the conductor tapping his baton sharply on the edge of the podium. Arms raised, he gives the downbeat as a bassoon fills the air with a passage in the upper register. A set of velvet curtains rise upward, stopping short of the rafters, while brass and strings blast forth a warm, rich chord. Spotlights widening on a line of dancers in chromatic native garb, the props minimalist, painted rows of spruce trees at either wing. It's elbow room only. The narrow corridors, lingering with cigar smoke, are jammed ushers keeping at bay clusters of onlookers blocking the entryways. A commotion quickly infects the hall, accompanied by boos, hisses, and catcalls, arguments crescendo among the attendees, their simmering anger erupting into shoving matches while fists start to fly. "Give us La Mer," a portly man belts out from an upper row. "No ballet for the bourgeoisie," exclaims another, waving his hands in disgust. "Down with the old, in with the new," a several chant. Sorry, I don't speak French or Italian. But "down with the old, in with the new," several chant in unison, seated up front. There you go. I can't ever read my own article. Isn't that sad? Undeterred, the orchestra and performers forge ahead. The nightmare is seen forcing the work's composer, 31-year-old Igor Stravinsky, to flee as he observes the remaining minutes from the rim of the theater. Rebel-rousers are promptly ejected by police. With one final beat, the ballet ends, followed by scant applause. Why such chaos? An ideological split between avant-garde proponents and staunch traditionalists. Now, there are some questions about what actually happened, and I talk about this in a few paragraphs here. What actually happened at the Rite of Spring, premiere of the Rite of Spring? Were there fistfights? In the days that follow, some reviews will label Rite of Spring as watered-down Tchaikovsky, lacking innovation. Scrutinizing Stravinsky for not breaking any new ground, others will praise its unique use of rhythm, faithfulness to tonality, and classical choreography. A quote-unquote riot over nothing will be the headline for weeks. The above account is a slight reversal of the sequence of mishaps that plagued the Rite of Spring's premiere. Originally, the dancers stomping and lurching shocked viewers more than the grating music. The Figaro critic Henry Quettard called it a quote-unquote laborious and puerile barbarity. Second, the production took place at Paris's Théâtre des Champs-Élysées, not in Washington, D.C. Commodia writer Gustave Lenoir called it superb, blaming the disruptions on two quote-unquote ill-mannered factions. As far as fistfights, that's still disputed. These factions consisted of wealthy patrons and opposing bohemians who praised anything new because of their hatred for the elite. Puccini, attending a performance on June 2nd, called the choreography ridiculous and music cacophonous. He wasn't alone. A London Times writer present at the Theatre Royal production was impressed with its cohesiveness, but accused Stravinsky of abandoning harmony and melody in favor of rhythm. Such damning reactions resulted in efforts to have Rite of Spring banned, its revival not seen until the 1980s, though its popularity was achieved as a concert piece. So it was banned, and they didn't revive it till the 80s, the ballet version, but it did remain popular as a concert piece and on record. Question is, popular with whom? Conductors, academics, the public? Better put, would modern music be as atonal as it is now if not for the Rite of Spring? Would there still be genres such as jazz, rock, or hip-hop? Perhaps. Yet composers such as Gottschalk and Saint-Saëns experimented with South American and African motifs decades earlier, as well as exploring exotic colors that were unusual for the time, but never, and that's italicized, but never at the expense of degrading their craft. Suppose Stravinsky had embraced traditional harmony, also in italics, in his right, utilizing those startling dissonances only when necessary, akin to how one incorporates spices when preparing a meal. Too much pepper and the dish is unpalatable. What Igor Stravinsky did compose, also italicized, has unfortunately had far more negative consequences than he could have ever imagined. We see this today in film, politics, and at institutions like the Smithsonian. I mean, they put up the worst art exhibits at places like the Smithsonian, the Museum of Modern Art. I mean, taping a banana to a wall, and you call that art? Glasses on a floor? Did you see the story about that one? These guys decided to play a prank, and they threw their glasses on the floor. All of a sudden, everybody's crowding around the glasses. Ooh, look at this beautiful piece of art. Glasses on the floor. Arenas where society is duped by believing only two parties possess the solution to all social ills. That the more violent the plotline, grotesque the painting, or vulgar the lyric, it must be crowned the epitome of creative achievement. And for what? Diversity? Past sins such as slavery should be continually exposed by any means necessary, we're told. Every statue toppled, all artifacts destroyed. These elites' philosophy, to hell with beauty, history, logic, merit, or artistic standards. This is the same circle of intellectual nitwits who have never written a novel or symphony, incapable of recognizing a Monet dry brush, even if it struck them from behind, pouring millions into museums and performing arts facilities in exchange for their constituents' vote. Art may be in the eye of the beholder, but we shouldn't be afraid to call a spade a spade. If it's bad art, call it bad art. Seriously, if it's bad art, call it bad art. If a piece of music is crap, call it crap. Well, we don't want to hurt their feelings. Well, maybe hurting their feelings is the best thing you can do to force them to create great art. Duh. Imagine if Stravinsky's main character in The Rite of Spring had danced herself to life instead of death. What if he adhered to tonality, unifying his audience rather than dividing it? Is this still possible? Yes. People are just too damn lazy to make the effort. So tell me what you think in the comments section below. Do you think it's time to reassess that we reassess what's happening with modern art? That we stop being comfortable with the 30-second soundbite or 3-minute song? Do you think it's time we take the politics out of it? So if you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Follow me on Instagram, #JasonComposes, because I write music in my spare time. You can go to X, Culture Confederacy, at Culture Confed 1 on X. Once again, if you're on X, just click on the link to Substack. You'll find the article. And of course, you can find me at Substack. So the title of the article again, Smithsonian's Gone Woke, Why Politicians, Historians, and Lazy Artists Shouldn't Mix. So I hope you all have a great Thursday. I'll catch you next time, and take care. Keep up the culture. God bless.